On behalf of the New Jersey Repertory Company, I'd like to welcome you to the grand opening of our new virtual Museum of Art. I'm Gabor Barabas, the executive producer at our theater. In building our museum, we were committed from the very beginning to creating an entirely green project without bricks or mortar, one that utilized only the recyclable and sustainable materials of the imagination. Today, you've come to our inaugural exhibit featuring the work of Quinton Greene, and your host will be our curator, Mira Khanna. We're so glad that you've come to join us today for this historic occasion, for it's not every day that a new museum opens its doors.
Aloha and welcome to the Dapple Pony Gallery. I'm Mira Khanna, Gallery Director and Curator of Valor Victory, an exhibit of Quinton Greene's work. Quinton's work spans years of exploration, encompassing art, himself, and the world he lives in. What you will see are several recurring themes: women, men, mass, and a sense of belonging to a community that encompasses the world. He shows his respect and admiration for women in the way he portrays them. They're regal, wise, powerful, carrying the weight and joy of life on their shoulders. Male figures are strong role models, offering guidance and inspiration. Interestingly enough, masks, which Quinton feels most people wear in society, are seen more often on men than on women in this body of work. Finally, you'll notice different communities: Caribbean, Pacific, African, Central and South American, highlighting the universality of the human experience, how we are all connected around the world, how we all belong to the same family. So come along with Quinton and me and explore his world in Valor and Victory.
Hi, my name is Quentin Green, and I'm an African-American artist who was born in North Carolina in 1962, and from the age of 8 to around my late 20s, my interest was not necessarily in canvas art or drawing, but in dance and music. But after I graduate, I entered into the Army, and I stayed in the Army for December of 1981 to November of 84, and was released with a medical disability, diagnosed with depressive disorder and PTSD. For many years, I struggled with alcoholism and depression after leaving the military. But after moving to New Jersey from North Carolina, I was able to overcome my demons with the help of my higher power and the MICA group therapy in 1994. From 1994 to 99, I basically just worked on improving myself and my self-image. I entered into Camden County College in 1997 and got married that same year to Priscilla Williams Green, my wife. Around 1999, I picked up the brush and canvas and fell deeply in love with art. Dr. Ralph Hunter was the curator for the African American Heritage Museum here in Southern New Jersey. Gave me the first opportunity to display my artwork. The African American Heritage Museum is located in Newtonville. And even in the early 2000s, he opened that door for me, and I've been improving and moving forth ever since. My creativity has led me not only to paint on canvas, but also to design on canvas with multimedia. For me, creating and designing helped me to keep balance in my life. It is truly a mind, body, spirit infusion of enlightenment that holds me on the path of mental freedom from negative past experiences. Many have negative past experiences destroy them. We see it time and time again. But I believe if someone finds the strength in to direct that negative energy, one can open a whole new world of hope and of peace. You see, art helped me build a life of hope and peace. And I thank you. Enjoy my show.
With Afro Mask, I feel that using Quentin's thought that masks are what we wear in society to protect or to hide our true selves. This is what's under the mask. You'll see his usual use of geometrics, but what you also see is a very surreal person becoming. Look at the right eye, which is, to me, confronting the viewer. This is my opinion filtered through my experiences. And what I see is an image of the earth. And there's a teardrop. There's two teardrops, one of which looks shield-like or even turtle-like. So this is the earth crying. The one thing I want to say about India, of all the women, for the most part, they are African American women. This is an Indian woman, and she has a gentler, more pensive, less fierce appearance than some of the other women. So I loved her because of that Mondrian kind of long neck and the big eyes and the serenity she projects. When I see this, because of the color and the palm trees, and what I want people to notice perhaps in this is the feeling of the Caribbean, and also the beginning, if you look very carefully at his work, of the geometric movement. You see the geometry here, the squares, the round vessels. These shapes will carry on throughout most of his work. Just a little bit more, you could see those really island colors, more like Jamaica, the colors of the Caribbean, and the island in the background. And you see more of him starting to fragment these shapes, as he says. Sometimes when he does the painting, it's flat, and then it's just not enough movement and texture, and he starts to overlay and layer. I like this piece. It's found art. This is a piece of metal that he's worked with glass and fabric, created 3D image. The sun is central to life, and I think to the people that he portrays, because many of them are agrarian. What I see here is the sun again repeated almost as a crown. Music, of course, is very important to Quinton since he started out in high school with musical comedy and modern dance. So he has a great love of music, and you'll see it in his work. Mother Africa is one of those pieces that just floats on its own, and I saw her as a mystical woman conjuring an eclipse. You can see the eclipse starting. I saw her as a very powerful woman. And then, she has no features, but she doesn't have to. It's in her body language. Quinton is playful, so this is music for him in a visual form. And he's done cabochons of glass, handles, all kinds of interesting things that he's found on his way.
When I did this piece, I was looking at a mixture of some ad text, African stuff, because sometimes I like to just look at people's stuff to kind of draw a feeling from it. And then what happens is when I go and start painting, all of that mixture of stuff get mixed together in the actual work. I was listening to some of her music one time, kind of remembering how she was and how that music affected me, and went into my art room and I started working on this piece. It's several layers because I began to work on her to finish it. It just started coming up and developing different ideas and thoughts with that piece. At first, just had her hands straight down, and that didn't work for me, so I had to move the arm up. And I moved the arm up this way. I said, well, why not I put a glove on it and throw a cigarette in her hand? And that's exactly what happened. So it's overlaid, as you can see, it's overlaid with different thoughts and dimensions as I went through the piece. But what I was really just trying to capture Grace, just a moment in time with Grace Jones.
What you see here is the reverence for women. This woman, to me, is wearing a halo. The sacredness of women, their importance in society and in the world. This woman is thoughtful, hurt, but you see her bravery and what reverence he holds her in, for women in general.
I wanted to express something really deep about my people and my heritage, the tribalism of Africa. This is one of the constructs that came out with that. As you can see, the broader lips, the bigger nose, the bigger ears, the more African expression in the work. This is another piece that I did in that series of piecing that connects to tribal man. I thought, well, at first that I would like to kind of get an outline of what Africa is. When I first did it, I did the continent or the African outline was totally black. Then something kind of struck me, and the faces I brought in later, but it kind of struck me when I had it all black and, the outline. I was like, nah, this is not really what I'm saying. So I said, well, what would be something that I could say to actually make it kind of fit for me? And the zebra pattern came to mind. And so then I just started bringing that into that thought. It really blossomed after that. After the zebra pattern, I said, well, what else could I do to make a statement in that? Actually, it was something already here. I just put the face over that and I just added into what was already there, and that man face, the warrior face, and the woman face came out of that was already there. And then it was just like, boom, that's it.
Part of Africa is special because There's a reverence to it. It's almost like a stained glass window in a church.
Now, this is one of the older pieces that I did. She's been around since 2012 or 2011. And when I first started off, it didn't have any glass beads on it at all. But I thought that was a little bit boring because around that particular time is when I started designing on canvas. And so I just did the piece. I did the zebra pattern and I did it. Her coat was red, brought the arms in. Because I was started to design on canvas, is like, okay, what if I start manipulating this with some glass beads and some metal and some different thoughts and ideas? And that's exactly what happened. And as you can see, all of that is just glass beads. And actually, if you see the necklace on her, it's Aztec. It has the corals and the movement of Aztec. And so I kind of just mix these cultures together to bring it into one piece. The browns, the blues, the reds, and all of it has some significant meaning in the piece. She got the band around her head. I felt like she could take have a spear and just go out and fight and just defeat her enemy. I just started incorporating more color to bring the piece out and to define it. She got a little chip on her shoulder, as you can see, and that's why I call it the queen of my own throne, because she knows she's beautiful. She knows she's got it. The array, the design and the array of the clothes really makes a statement. Actually, this started off as a normal face. And what I mean by normal, it didn't have any movement in it. It was brown, just a regular brown face with slight movement in it. And something just ripped at me and I couldn't deal with it. So I can't just take something plain. I got to go for it. Exaggerate it and bring it out and bring the colors out. And that's what happened here. And tried to also at the same time have balance in the piece.
But there's still the geometrics that were in the Music Man, and when it started almost like the Central American theme with the sun, and it came through the tribals, and it's still there. I find that so interesting that the shapes are there.
In many communities, people don't have much. So what I was thinking with this piece is people coming together and sharing whatever they have. I found that gazelle head, and then I wanted to be more. So I just started adding leather and movement and patterns, and it just opened that whole thing up. That's a lot of work. And even looking at it, when you actually see the piece, you're going to start seeing dimensions and depth behind the head. People who see the actual piece, they just love it. The thought behind it is when you look in a kaleidoscope with the eye and you're moving and the colors moving around. So I just thought maybe I'll make that whole thought on canvas, make it in human form.
The earrings to me look like rifle sights, shooting sights, crosshairs. But then there above it is this wonderful corona with those recurring spirals, which in several cultures, mine included, mean new life, rebirth. It's the spiral, the eternal spiral, and there it is.
Blue occasion. I did this piece because my wife, she's in a sorority and their colors are blue and white. So I just did a piece to kind of dedicate that to that group of women. And you should see them when they all dressed up in their blue and white. They really look nice. I did this piece because I wanted to also reflect some of our heritage that sometimes has a negative impact. Things that happen to us in the past have negative impacts, long-term negative impacts to our people. And that's exactly the reason why I did that, as to say that no matter what you think, you can't keep us down. She's a beautiful, and no matter what anybody else thinks, she's a beautiful young girl. Adorable. No matter what anybody else thinks, she's adorable. I think I did this piece back in December, preparing for the Black History thing. She wanted a piece to really say something about what was going on at the time in society. And so I just developed this concept of how some of my people have been dealt with by the police. Actually, doing this piece, when it was showcased at the coffee shop, I had multiple reactions from it, where the lady actually wanted me to take it down because she was claiming that her husband was a policeman and all policemen are not bad. That was not my intentions to do that. They're good and bad in everything. But then again, other people could relate to the whole thought of it. So I'm glad that I experienced that, because she was really upset about it and I had to think about it. Again, you can see the break in patterns, the mask.
When I saw this image, I thought, wow, it's Baron Samedi, because I did do, some studies in alternative religions, and I recognized him, the top hat, the skull. And Quinton and I were talking about the lettering in the work. So look at the man's left shoulder.
The boy is holding the scale of justice. He's also being weighed by that scale in blood. It's a lot of blood balanced in justice. And there's good justice and there's bad justice. I use my heavy lines, and sometimes I think it's to a disadvantage. But once I finish the work, it seems to magically work all together. Sometimes heavy, dark lines, you can kind of destroy a piece. But I think I have developed the skills where I don't go too far overboard, and I bring it out just enough to make it set perfect on the piece that I'm doing. Of course, this is a reflection of the coronavirus, the death and the destruction that that particular virus has committed. What can I do to actually bring them feelings out about this whole situation? And so that is exactly what came out. This person, I'm not saying woman or man, but they depressed from the weight of the virus. And the tree might look like it's dying, but yet there's hope and life in the tree. Even though we're depressed, even though we're going through something that's really heavy right now, at the end of it all, it's gonna be all right. It's sprout a new thing in our lives. It's a beautiful piece. Like Jesus. Sometimes people, and this is just the metaphor behind that, sometimes people have to kind of save themselves from themselves. Sometimes people have to, they can't be Jesus, but be a Jesus for themselves. This piece right here is more religious than anything that I think I ever done. I'm not sure if to say that or not. Actually, they worshiping, they look into a higher power than themselves to communicate with. But at the same time, I wanted to keep that thought of who I am as a person in the piece. To me now, when I look at it, it kind of look into the sun as something that they can draw energy from.
With Soul Seeker, what I want you to notice is the microphone in his hand. Quinton is visually broadcasting his message to everyone, but most particularly to young people. Because if you notice his work, there's a lot of juvenile figures in it. He's speaking to the next generation to carry on. Also, please notice there are initials in the upper left-hand corner of the canvas. There's another set of initials hidden within the painting and one in a previous panel. Quinton is beginning to hide little surprises in his work. Look for them in the future.
I don't know why I always add buttons to things, but then a button holds something together, right?
I think a lot of what Quinton is saying is especially for young people, the next generation who will carry on. So here we have Sister Girl, and you will see the other piece, the companion piece, Brother Man. And these are the people I believe he is addressing, because this isn't something that stops with one person. It's a movement for all of them.
When I first started off, I was just gonna do a woman, let her hair flow down and just leave her face kind of like it is. And then of course, again, I stepped back and looked at it and it wasn't saying anything to me. So I began to design this crown, make her some gorgeous earrings and nice little choker around her to bring out everything that's above. I just wanted to make this piece here as pro-Black as I possibly could make it, as a symbol of where we're coming from and where we're going and what it is and what it shall be.
But there's always some kind of little hidden stuff. If you look at his work long enough, you're going to see stuff and you just kind of go, oh yeah. All right, let's talk about jazz. Jazz is a uniquely American, African-American generative form of music. It's my favorite. And here's the jazz man. And he's playing some happy notes. And why is that? Because times will come back. Quentin did a number of pieces that were tributes to different cities like New Orleans. My favorite one, of course, is Paris, because in Paris, historically, people of color were more accepted. When people of color went to live, artists and performers went to Paris, they had a life that they could not have in their own country. And so with the return of the good times, and we will go back to traveling and hearing music together and parties and all the wonderful things that we so enjoy. There'll be time for us to interact with each other as loving people, as happy people. And you see that optimism expressed in this piece.
All of us wear masks at certain point in time in our life. We have a mask at home, and then we have a mask in the gallery things, and we have a mask in public that we show, and then we have a mask that we have when we're around our personal friends. So when you see me painting a lot of people with masks, it's a whole lot of thought behind it than just a mask.
Quentin says you have to believe. You have to believe to achieve. And I'm a believer after this show, and I hope you are too. Thanks for coming.